Yes, people, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the OGs. It's been 3 months since we've done this show, so it's been a little while, but me and Curtis have linked up quite a few times over the last 3 months, so it hasn't been that long since we last spoke, and we was in the US together as well. What are you saying, though, my bro?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Good to be back. Nice fresh thumbnail and that, and fresh season. I'm hoping for some trophies. But yeah, the tour was banging as well. So yeah, man, it's been a good summer, man. I can't complain.
Yeah. You rub shoulders with the Cronkays and Havertz and that. I saved this conversation for the OGs. I didn't even bring this up,
guys. Man didn't mention. I thought he was gonna say Bellingham and Mbappe. Man threw the Cronkays at me. We've been talking for a few minutes backstage, and the first thing we'll talk anyway. We'll talk during the show.
The headlines, that's the headlines. I'm letting the people know what's coming up in the conversation.
Yeah, I hear you. You're lucky you wasn't there that day. You was doing something else, aren't you? I wanted you to see the Cronkays.
Nah, I'm glad I wasn't, to be honest with you, because I would have put the brand at risk potentially.
Yo, but listen, man, you're wearing merch now. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was a new dawn.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be. Like, we talk about the transfer window. Yeah. I mean, we woke up to those sorts of these sorts of mornings many times in the last 10-15 years. So it felt like a new dawn. And listen, it still might be, bro. I think you've said it. I've said it. We can still win the league even if we do nothing. But if we do nothing and don't, then it's inexcusable. Like, it's inexplicable. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
I was watching your stream earlier, and you said, off the back of finishing second season in a row, taking it all the way, a couple of points behind, signing Calafiori and obviously Marino in the next few days. On paper, just doesn't sound like a team that went that extra yard to kind of seal the deal.
Yeah, 100%. And I've said it before, bro. Like, with these owners, sometimes it's more financially beneficial for them to finish second than winning the league, because you're going to have bonuses in everyone's contracts. You're going to have wages going up. You're going to, the ambition's going to sort of wake up of the whole club then. Second, with not spending ridiculous amounts of money, you get Champions League money. I feel like that works for them. So yeah, 11 days. The window shuts early this year. Next Friday, he's had two and a bit months, and we've only sold one player really and bought one player. So in 11 days, you might have to sell 3 and buy maybe 2. So I'm trying to stay calm. I'm staying calm. You know what I mean? But it's there below the surface. You know what I'm saying?
It really takes one negative result that it's going to bring it all out. We know that because even the most optimistic fan probably thought more of or expected more of this window.
Yeah,
Calafiori, like, don't get to the Calafiori. He looks a good signing. Like, it's another tool to the defensive unit we have, and we can be more flexible, and maybe our left back issue is somewhat sorted. All of those things are positive things. All of those things are good things. Like a backup to SAKA would be a positive thing, a good thing. But I think the main two things, which have kind of been the main two things for maybe 3 years now, an 8 and a 9, an 8 and a 9. And I say 3 years because as much as Xhaka had a great last season, and I told people, more than anyone that it was a great season. I had to put my hands up about that. But we needed an 8 throughout that. Yeah. And Havertz was meant to come in as the 8. Let's not forget last season. He didn't. He slotted in up front, and our worry was that Havertz has done enough now to warrant Arteta or Edu or the club not thinking about getting a striker in, which to be honest with you is, like I said, we can win it without signing anyone. We can, because we showed last season how well we can do. It's about fixing and learning some of the wrongs we did and maintaining all the right we did, which is probably more difficult than turning around some of the wrongs, because we were so good throughout the season. We can win it, but if we don't, and we haven't left all the cards on the table this summer. If we don't, this summer is just going to be one more of those summers that we've had where we thought we were 2 pieces away. With Wenger, we thought we were 2 pieces away for like 4 or 5 years. Yeah, until we was 5 pieces away all of a sudden. So we've done well to get back. Arteta's done well. Edu in parts has done well to get us back to to being a couple pieces away, but we haven't done what I thought we was gonna do in this window. I'm gonna look at the chat while you give me yours as well.
Yeah, like for me, it's just as well. Like I think the question is like the reasons. We're all kind of sitting here going, how come we haven't done business? Like, are they looking at the squad thinking we don't need a SAKA backup and we don't need a striker and we don't, or is it a case of Arteta sitting there and he's being told that we can't do it? I don't get why Osimhen's agent was at the training ground last year. Why have we sent scouts to watch Gyökeres multiple times? Why did we meet Ivan Toney apparently and didn't like his attitude? It feels like there was plans to do things in the striker area. Whether they've retreated, one, because Havertz finished the season well and maybe thought, do you know what? I need to get this guy in the team. He's not going to work in midfield, but I can get him up front. Or if the club turned around to him and said, listen, we spent 227 million last summer. We just can't do it this year unless you... I honestly thought we'd have made 100 million in player sales. I think we spoke about it on Talking Transfers. I really don't get why we haven't sold players. I thought Ramsdale would have been gone, and Nketiah, I think we fumbled the bag by not selling him. Last week they were saying, Bournemouth signed Evan Nielsen. Nottingham Forest make an offer for Jimenez. Like now they're saying Palace. Me and you was cracking up every year. Palace are linked to Nketiah. They never seem to make an offer. So
because bro, sorry to cut you, but before we even get into the overvalue of the people, like I heard 50 million at the beginning of the summer, 40 million at the beginning of the summer. So before we even get into that, it's the cheek of some of our fans that some we know, some we talk to a hell of a lot, that assume that Bournemouth don't have higher expectations than Eddie Nketiah leading the line, or West Ham or Crystal Palace or so on. I just don't. Before we even get into the value, like that's all nonsense to me. Marseille for me is the only one that bang on dead interested in him in 3 years, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and we fluffed it, and we fluffed it for what, 3 mil? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Where does the buck stop with that? Is it Edu? Is it? I don't know, because surely Arteta's job there is, I don't need this guy. If we sell him, I could reinvest the money. So yeah, I'd like that. Surely it's out of his hands there. I wouldn't necessarily look at Mikel for losing out for a 3 million difference. I don't think he would have minded if he was asked. Do you mind if it's a 3 million difference?
I think the thing for me, like you said, you look at the team and you think, if Havertz scores goals, if Martinelli steps up, or Trossard, if Partey can stay fit, Marino comes in, Reyes had the full, season as goalkeeper. I feel like we're a better team than we were last year, even without signing anybody. Timber's back. But the problem is, if we don't win the league and it's close, let's say we lose it by 5 points or 3 points, every Arsenal fan's going to sit there and think, boy, a slightly better window, a striker, a SAKA backup. Because my worry is Saliba, Gabriel, Rice, Odegaard, SAKA, those guys, Ben White as well, and the goalkeeper, of course, they played nearly every game last season. None of them had any serious injury. I don't remember any of them getting a red card. They played and you look at, a lot of them went to international tournaments. So you're going to get those guys for 35 to 38 league games again without getting an injury. Now, if Rice came out of that team, I'd be very worried. If Odegaard came out the same, SAKA the same, that the drop-off is too big. So I just think my advice to anyone at Arsenal, I'd be like, don't leave it down to chance. Manchester City are a team that you've got to be almost perfect to win the league off them. Like somebody said in the comments here, Liverpool signed Adrian 1 year and won the league. But I feel like Liverpool they were almost a complete package. You knew Liverpool's 1 to 11 without even looking at the team sheet. Like you knew it was Mane, Salah, Firmino. It was all kind of clicking. I still think we've got a couple areas that we could improve on. I hope they surprise us in this next 11 days. And, Marino, we need more than him. We need one more after that at least.
Yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, because really, I don't know if it's a case of them just dilly dallying, taking their time to give us a little gift at the end of the window because we're not going to get that attacker. But it doesn't feel like a gift anymore. It just feels like a necessity that we have to get out of the way. Like the kind of
Yeah,
is the life has been sucked out of that transfer. There's not really a buzz about it. It's not really like I kind of see him as an Arsenal player already. I
yeah,
just know he's not going to be available for Aston Villa, but I expect to see him against Brighton. So just run the announcement and let's keep it going because you're right. And when you look at that Liverpool team, they're the season they won the league, I believe injury wise, they was pretty clean.
yeah,
But there's also a difference in terms of they had they got those final pieces in. You
yeah,
know, it felt like the pieces were in place before the season started. It felt like they was on the verge of something, and it has for us since the end of last season. At the end of last season, I said we're going to win the league. What next season? Because I expected us to do what we have done in the last 2 years, which is build very well in the transfer window.
yeah.
But I don't know, man.
And also the other thing, when you look at that Liverpool team, they won the Champions League before the Prem. So it felt inevitable that Klopp was going to win the Premier League. If Arsenal won the Champions League, I'd be like, we're winning the Prem within the next couple of years because we've reached such a great height. And I just, I feel that they need to win a trophy this year to understand what winning is about, and you look at teams that win and you think, okay, why has De Bruyne never been taken from Manchester City, or why is Van Dijk or Salah? Why did Madrid never come and get those guys? I think those players were so settled because financially they were secure and they knew every year or two I'm going to lift silverware. So it was like, I don't really need to go there. I can win the Champions League at Liverpool. So I'm not desperate to go to Madrid. We can't afford to give Saliba question marks or Saka question marks. These guys talk on international duty. Foden, player of the year, treble. You know what I mean? What do you win? Oh, nothing. You know what I mean? Oh, okay. Saliba with the French guys and Mbappe going for Ballon d'Ors, Real Madrid. Listen, everyone can see that Saliba would fit nicely in that Madrid team. So we've got to take away that doubt and make these guys commit long term. And even Arteta as well. I think Arteta's in a period now in his career where it's like, okay, you've had a lot of respect from the Arsenal fans. A lot of the fans rave about him. But we know that again, he will be defined by trophies. Because if he didn't win nothing in the next year or two and we sacked him, people would kind of forget about him. But if he wins the league, all of a sudden you're one of the best managers in the world. You're an Arsenal legend as a manager, bringing that title back after 2 decades. So it's fine margins. I just think he's got to take those cups more seriously and try and build our way to winning that title this year.
I don't know. I can see it. It's going to happen one extreme or the other with Mikel. Where he takes us to the the glory land, and we win the title, and we're well and truly into that new era. Because until we get a major over the line, we're not really in that new era. You can talk about new era in terms of youth and whatnot. It was a new era when we had Oxlade and Wilshere and Ramsey and all of them, man, too. I'm talking about an era of winning and greatness and so on. So it either goes that way, or I think Mikel turns on the people above because they didn't get him over the line, or they didn't give him because this summer does feel like I can't look at Mikel about it. I feel like
Yeah, yeah,
from what he said to us, you cannot have any transfer windows where you take your foot off the gas. You have to continue building every transfer window. And since then we've had the last couple where we haven't invested. Well, we invested this summer, but I mean invested how we thought. Maybe January we thought would add something in the summer. We thought we'd add an attacker at least. It doesn't look like it's happening. I just don't think Arteta leaves Arsenal with his tail between his legs. And I think that's because he's actually taken us to a place where we all now expect. I think he now expects. Now, people can say, and I get this. The board might turn around and say, listen, you bought Jesus in. You gave him the number 9. You gave Eddie the 14 and 100K. And you bought Havertz in. It didn't work in midfield, but credit to you, it's working up top. So there's 3 options that, you've either molded for yourself or, kept here on considerable money or for considerable money, because Jesus is one of our highest paid as well. So
I
yes, the argument comes in, but at the end of the day, most big clubs could do this. Most good clubs would look at players that they bought in, but they need to move on from or need to upgrade on, or it never worked out in the first place. They just continue brushing it off and getting it done. You know, that's something we failed to do. Of all those 10, 15 years, you know, we didn't brush many of these failures off. We just, you know, we kept them, we kept it going. We didn't think differently, and it ended with nothing year in, year out. But in terms of title challenges and
in terms of their leagues. Do you know what? It feels more likely that Arteta would walk out than the club would sack him. I'm not saying we're close to any of them. I don't think we are, but I think, number one, why has he not extended his contract yet? I think he will extend it. It's probably there and they're just waiting to tie it up and get through the window. But it's interesting that he hasn't signed the deal yet. We're going into the last 12 months. And I'm not being funny.
Shit, is it? I didn't know that, you know.
Yeah, last 12 months. So remember, they were talking about a 3-year deal. So then I'm thinking he might be sitting there because he has been linked with PSG and Barca and things like that. So he might be thinking, I want to look at the situation and see if you lot have got that ambition.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I remember actually he said that he didn't predict any issues happening. I remember that was recently.
Yeah, look, his contract expires in the summer of 2025. Expected to sign a new 3-year deal. But yeah, he did say it will happen in one of the press conferences. But, you know, until it's done, it's not done, is it? So he might be looking at them like, yo, listen, Barca might take him, PSG might think, because I honestly, and you know me, and I've said it all along, I've been very harsh on Mikel over the last few years. But I think this summer is not on him. I think he must be sitting there going, what, like, you know what I mean? Why have we not done a bit more business? But it's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. This City Gundogan thing, is this a lot of people saying they want him back?
Yeah, I've read that today as well, but I don't know if it's a here we go, or a there we land, but I'm sure we'll get that when the time comes. Yeah, that's mad. But that's what I'm saying though. He said that because I'm just looking in the background, and he said when asked about the contract, he doesn't predict any issues happening, but he said that on the 4th of July. Now that's very early in the window, and now we're very late in the window. And me and Curtis both just said, and we agree that it's probably not impressed him as much as it's not impressed us. So, you know, how does he play it from here? Because in management now, you can show so much, but essentially, you know, when it comes down to success, is the only metric that anyone, and by success, I mean trophies and consistency and whatnot, is the metric anyone, wants to go by, even down to this Mikel and Unai argument. Obviously, when you bring trophies in, it's, there's no doubt about who the better manager is. But if you're looking to build a team that's going to actually get around the 90-point mark. I'm not even going to say compete with Pep Guardiola, but get around the 90-point mark. We're yet to see Emery do that throughout his career. Now, if you take the last 2 years, which what Robbie said into account, the last 2 years, I'd say Arteta has shown a lot more than Unai Emery. If you bear into mind, that's 2 of his first 4 years as management. I think those things considered, it makes the argument a lot tighter than who's the better manager, who's won the more trophies. Obviously, Unai Emery. Bang. You want a trophy, you get Unai Emery. That's fair. I get that. But when it comes down to all of this success now, it's a thin line between being praised highly, as he has been, and rightly so, in my opinion, for the last couple of years, to being deemed a failure and being mocked or laughed at. Well, opposition fans are always ready for that, but I don't think he'll get that deep for Arteta. It did for Unai in terms of the mocking and the laughter and that, and in terms of experience and reputation, Unai is a different level to Mikel. But I think Mikel would be wary of his own reputation as well, because Mikel played for us in an era. Listen, Mikel played for us because our ownership had no ambition. Yeah, and That's the reality, because we
It is.
replaced Fabregas with Mikel. I mean, a club that's got, I mean, you don't do that, but that's
Yeah.
what we've done, yeah. So that's why Mikel played for us, and he played under Wenger, who consistently, year in year out, the purse strings were tight. He would have to take the brunt of the blame. He would, be the one to be the face of all of the, problems, all of the lack of investment, the lack of development, and so on. So he's under that same ownership that brought him in, essentially, because there was majority them time. They would have been in and around. They was on the board. It's not like Usmanov, he wasn't on the board. The Kroenkes were
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
So he would have seen all of that. And he would have seen how Wenger's reputation pretty much got dragged to the point of, I won't say no return, because when you win what he won for us, and when you've done like that, the unbeaten season and the doubles and the competition with United, there's always a return to that, and there has been since he's left the club. But they dragged his name through the mud. He allowed them to as well, but they dragged. So Mikel must, he's a smart man. I'm sure if they can do that to Wenger, they wouldn't mind doing it to him as well. So there's a balance now. I want to see how Mikel plays it as well, because in press conferences, we've all spoken highly about how he speaks and how kind of he knows how to answer questions, but he also knows how to leave hints and drops when need be. I don't think he's necessarily needed to, but it'd be interesting to see, because he has said we need to invest every summer. He has said you need to continue buying the competition, but we haven't done that this summer. So I want to see how it goes the next 2 weeks, see what he says in the press conferences. No doubt, listen, do you think we're winning all 4 of our next games? Okay, let me ask you a different question. Do you think we're going to lose any of the next 4?
I would say no, but yeah, because the way you've changed that question is very different. When you said win, I was like, Man City away. But then when you say no, I think, okay, we can go to all those places and not get beaten.
Honestly, I think we
I wouldn't expect. Yeah. Do you know what? Like, it's difficult because it's City, innit? It's the City one. I'm being honest. I think we can go Villa.
If we lose one, if we are to lose, well, no, let me not even say hope, because I wouldn't want to lose to them either. But that Tottenham away game ain't gonna be right now. I don't see it like, but obviously it's a month away. We still haven't seen them. They're due to play in a few hours. Brighton looked good in the first game. We're at home. But Wolves, I mean, the Wolves game was tight in terms of possession. It was tight in terms of shots. It was tight in that aspect. I know it's, we won the game pretty comfortably, but if you give Brighton that much possession, if you give them, that time, then they're going to make more of it than Wolves. So,
do you know what? I'll be honest with you. In fact, I'm thinking about it as you're talking. I'm nervous about Saturday's game. I'm going to be totally honest, and it's not because I think we're better than Villa. I think we're a better team than them.
We are.
It's kind of half of our team is not up to speed at the moment. And that worries me because, okay, SAKA had a brilliant game, but Rice looked off it. When have you seen Rice get cramp in a game? That tells you he's not 100% fit.
Yeah, first game.
Anana went in for Villa, got man of the match. They've just beaten West Ham away. That's a hard game to win, opening game. And Zinchenko, for me, Zinchenko can't play on Saturday. There's just no doubt about it. You cannot play Zinchenko against Leon Bailey, ripped him last year. And I just think, is our number one, are Timber and Calafiori ready to start the game? And 2, is Arteta, because Arteta's got a lot of respect for Zinchenko. You can see that. So I watched that game at the weekend as you did, and I thought, okay, we won the game. We could have scored more. It was a clean sheet, but there were things in the performance that I was a bit like, boy, Saliba gives that ball away against Villa. That could be a goal. Zinchenko, Partey second half just totally capitulated. Didn't look like the same player. So it's such a tough run, man. These next 4 games are going to be, feels like it's already going to be defining this early in the season with the window as well, transfer window.
I think the Villa game sets the tone. I think if we go there and we win in emphatic fashion, and by emphatic fashion, I mean like dominate away from home against a very good side, and concede very little chances, hopefully a clean sheet and so on. We win by a couple goals. I think then if I ask, or if I think to myself about the next 3 games, then I don't, I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't predict the loss.
Yeah.
But looking at it now, I'm not even saying the Wolves game was pretty perfect in terms of what we needed to do. But I just feel like you said, there wasn't enough for me to say that I'm confident going into Villa. And forget last season, because last season is last season. I mean, look, Chelsea beat City. No, they drew twice to City
Drew
last season.
twice.
This
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
around, they got turned over. Like, you forget all that superstition stuff about form and all of this. Really, it's another 90 minutes. It's a new game. It's a new season. That's it. So
Yeah. And you know what, bro? There's so many minor details because, like, we played Tottenham away after the international break. So again, you know, we got a lot of players who are going to go on international duty, and Saka's going to probably play 2 nights for England. Rice probably, it's so many little things that could affect the outcome of those games. So if we were to beat Villa, and then I think our next game's Brighton at home, which is a tough game as well, by the way.
if
But
you
then I
beat
would,
Villa, it looks less tough to get
yeah,
on.
it does. You've got. Do you know what? I suppose this is how we got to look at it, because I like playing the tough games away from home first, because
Yeah.
you think you're running towards the title, and then you're like, oh, Man City at the Etihad, and you're like, oh, damn. So I'm glad we're actually playing these games first. I think Liverpool is the hard game we play away from home towards the end. But if we could, I think realistically, if we could get 10 points out of those 4 as a minimum,
that'd be great. 10
that'd
out
be
of 12
great.
would be great.
3 wins and a draw, I think, has got to be. I'm not sure if we can afford to get any less than that.
3 wins, a draw.
You got to beat Villa. You got to beat Brighton. I think you've got to beat Tottenham, to be honest.
Shall I be real with you? The bare minimum.
Go on.
The bare minimum that wouldn't. It's hard to say.
You're going to say 8, 2 wins, 2 draws.
Yeah. I'm thinking, yeah. But it's just how they come about. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
because 8 wouldn't be the end of the world. Like you said, when you get them out the way early, it's not often you get this chunk of this many tough, difficult away games over a few week period in a season. So usually you get these dotted around the season, and if you got to get a point here when it's amongst 3 wins and a good vein of form, it's a very good point. But in the big scheme of things now, if we get 8 in the next 12, it's not going to look great.
Terrible.
But it's up to us to make the fact that the toughest, or 3 of the toughest games are out of the way so early. It's up to us to then make that count, make it make sense later on in the season.
I think the reason I said 10, because realistically, 8's not terrible either. But I think the reason I said 10 is because City have just brushed Chelsea away opening game of the season. And I know we're looking at Chelsea as like, oh, they've been a mess the last few years, but Chelsea at the Bridge can be a difficult game. We drew there last year. City drew there last year, at the Bridge. And I think they've just rolled them opening day 2-0. They've got one of the big 6 away from home out the way on opening day. So I feel like we might have to get 10.
Chelsea had openings, though.
They did. If they had a striker, they might have got something out of that.
That's what gives me the belief that we can. But Man City is the end of this run we're talking about. So, like I said, Aston Villa, Brighton, and Tottenham will all set the tone for that Man City game. Right now, how do you want to go into that Man City game? Because you know how many people criticized us last season for going in and getting a point, because it's the end of the season. It was a title race, all of this stuff. Would you necessarily mind if that was the outcome again this time round? We go in, we dig our heels in, we make tough work of it, and we come out with a point? Or do you think it's time we go? I say, do you think it's time? I don't think many clubs have gone and tried to win over there without ever worrying about the defensive side of things. So really, that's a tough ask. But do you go in different to how we went at the Etihad?
You see, for me, bro, like I felt like with Liverpool when they, and I know we always talk about Liverpool, but I think with the setup's very similar and the finances and stuff. With Liverpool, I thought they got to a point where, as a club, they believed they were better than Man City. So when they played against them, it was let's see, let's go for it. Do you know what I mean? You don't go there and go gun ho, obviously. I thought we went there last year and were too defensive against a City team that was vulnerable, and they had a few big players missing. So if we go to the Etihad and we are positive and we try and beat them and we stick it on them and we end up drawing, I actually wouldn't be too disappointed with that. What I don't want to see is Arsenal go there and act inferior like we're Brighton and we're delighted to get out of the Etihad with a point, because I'm not. And I think Scholes said it on the overlap. He was like, the funny thing is, if you draw early in the season, you beat them at the end of the season. That's
Yeah,
probably a. Do you know what I mean? It's a better way of doing it because you're down that final straight now. Who's going to win the league? If we would have beat City at the Etihad, I think we'd have probably won the league because it just. And I heard Rodri say after, like, oh, they didn't believe they could beat us. And I know he's going to say things like that, but I want to see that mentality shift now that when we go to the Etihad, we're not scary Man City. We go there and we believe we can beat them. If we have to get out there with a point, then cool. But I want us to be a bit more positive, man. I think show them now that we feel that we're on that same level. So,
but this is where I go
on.
back to Mikel, yeah, and it's a gift and a curse. He I look at it now, and it's been a gift and a curse. It is a gift and a curse because you said, and a lot of people have said it, like City were vulnerable, and it was a chance to take it. It might have felt like that at the time, but when you really deep it and think, they didn't lose a game since the end of December. We played them in April, so they was already on a hell of a run going into that
Yeah.
game. And when
Yeah.
you listen, we give a lot of our we've held our hands up about a lot of players that we signed, Arteta signed, that we thought, what the hell is he doing? Is that the right player? Is that the right position? How much on Ben White, Ramsdale? What the hell? So on, so on, so on. So many times, and he's shown that he knows what he's doing in that sense. Yeah, there's been duds there as well, but he knows what he's doing in terms of the bigger picture. But people can mention Lokonga and Tavares and Fabio Vieira currently, 100%. But every manager has duds along the way. We started Jorginho against City. I'm going to use him as the example. Jorginho is not sick. Jorginho is not levels.
Yeah, not now.
Jorginho
Definitely.
has been good for us. But how much of that comes down to Mikel Arteta's system, Mikel Arteta's philosophy, because again, I'll bring Sterling into the equation as well, because Mikel is the Pep type, his philosophy, he's learned off him and so on. Sterling's a great example of a player that in a particular system will look world class, will look great, will look like his shit don't stink, but you take him out of that system, completely different. So we was at the Etihad with Jorginho in the midfield. Like, for me, Jorginho's solid. He's come in, he's done his job. But I feel like the foundation of why we're so great is not the quality of our players per se. It's the quality of what the manager is producing and instructing and detailing for them week in, week out. That's where I think our best quality comes from. Not necessarily an individual player or a area of the pitch. So Kivy or left back, for example, I mean, in April, it's easy to say, yeah, they look vulnerable, we should go for it. But if anyone asked us in July 2023, you're gonna go Etihad next season, and it's gonna be Kivior at left back and Jorginho starting in your midfield, a lot of us would be like, well, you might as well just give them the 3 points now. But because of Mikel and how good, in my opinion, he's been in tactically, yeah, some of these players that we don't think, like, I don't know if Ben White would be this sick at any other club. And I rate Ben White highly. I said best right back last year, second best right back the year before behind Trippier, in my opinion. Would he be this good at another club? Maybe under a manager like Mikel, like Pep, who does this sort of a thing, or one that's learned under Pep. But I just think that's why it's a gift and a curse, because our expectations have risen so much that we, or a lot of us, have looked at the Etihad game and said we should have gone for the win with Jorginho in the midfield. And De Bruyne played that game. Rodri played that game. Haaland played that game. So as much as they had weaknesses, Jorginho in the midfield against Rodri and De Bruyne, like, you know, at one point in the last season, we would have been like, fuck off, man. Don't even turn up to the game.
But you know what? Let me just give a bit of, because I listen, I get what you're saying, and the one thing I've always said with Mikel is his system is brilliant, and it does make players look better than they are. But like, I'm just looking back on that game, and yeah, you're right. Kivio was at left back, and Jorginho was in the double pivot with Rice. And City's attack was pretty much full strength. But City had Ederson was out. Kyle Walker was out. Ake comes off injured after 20 minutes, and Rico Lewis comes on. So they ended up with a back four of Rico Lewis, Vardy, Diaz, Akanji. I mean, it's still not bad, actually, when I say it out loud, and Ortega in goal. But in that game, we had 27% possession. That is like, you know, that must have been the lowest possession. I know City can do that to you, but it kind of feels like we went there and gave up possession to them. Like, look, let City keep the ball and we won't concede because our defense is so solid. And this is what I'm just saying. I think for us to really push on and win the league, I think you've got to go to City and wrestle a bit of that away from them and say, look, you know, we know you're going to dominate the ball, but we're going to have a bit more of the ball than that. We had 2 shots on target, 27% possession. It just kind of felt that day to me like we were just surviving. We were relying on the quality of our defense, and we said, we'll get out of here with a point. I just think for us to take the league off them, that's got to be a bit higher possession. It's got to be a few more chances. Do you know what I mean? Like, just for us to... Because I just always think back to Liverpool, and I think Liverpool used to go to the Etihad and go for them a little bit. Like, yeah, you sit in, you're tight. Because even though you're saying there, Jorginho against City, but Liverpool had Henderson in there. Do you know what I mean? And man didn't really rate Henderson that highly. Milner might have been in the odd game.
But you make a good point, because I want to mention that I think the difference there is that, and this is, again, the curse part of it, is that Mikel is younger Pep, isn't it? Yeah. So at the end of the day, he's coming up against a manager who's better at what he does than he is, and who's got better players at his disposal. Whereas Klopp was a different manager with a different style, so it was like it was styles make fights type of thing. Whereas Mikel's going into all of these games knowing that the majority of what he's learned comes from Pep, so he has to implement something he's taught himself over the last 3-4 years since he's become a manager to beat him, which is easier said than done, especially when you've got a Jorginho that you've got to deal with. Whereas with Klopp and Henderson, for me, because the style of football was different. Listen, I don't know how he competed with some of those players there. I can't lie to you. That's why Klopp is and has been, for me, the second best manager, if not third, if you add Ancelotti to it, in the last 5-10 years. Second, really, but yeah.
Yeah. And I get your point. It's difficult. His style is always going to be difficult. I think this year, like I said, because we're playing them at home for second, I think if you get a draw there now, this early in the season, I feel like it's a better draw than the one at the Etihad last season, because they were, like you said, they were in this unbeaten run. It was like we needed somebody to beat them and stop them. You know, you look at, you know, Doku at Anfield, that could have been a penalty for Liverpool. There were so many little moments. You just needed somebody to take them out of that unbeaten run. But I think because we play them later on in the season at home, hopefully we're at least neck and neck close to them, and then we beat them in the home game. So these next 4 games are crazy, because if you beat Tottenham the game before, you're looking at the Etihad like, come, let's go. If you drop points, the panic kicks in. So I think these next 4 games are huge games for us, man. And that City game at the end of it, it's an interesting one. I think we played didn't we play Tottenham and City back to back last season, or was it the one before? I feel like we played them back.
Tottenham and United was back to back.
Oh, was it Tottenham and United? Yeah.
And Tottenham United the season before that as well, actually, in January, innit, when Eddie scored the winner.
Oh yeah.
City, I don't know. We've had Brentford before them. I think we've had a mixture of teams.
Yeah.
Let me look at the super chats. 40 minutes in, over 800 here. Hit the like button, people. Let's get the likes up. As close to 1,000 as possible. Where are this? Oh, here we go. Let me start from the top. Chaitanya says, if we want to win the league, we got to be our absolute best. Pep casually beat Chelsea away like it was nothing. He's going for 5 in a row. Yeah, I mean, it seemed a pretty easy victory. But I didn't expect much of Chelsea either. New manager, and even the Sterling stuff. It's not the greatest first games. You've made Enzo captain. You're talking shit about it afterwards. Sterling's come out to say, yeah, it's all mad. Ankara Messi said, love Turkish and Curtis. Turkish, I agree with you about Arsenal not going all out in the window, but who do you want us to sign for the 9? Who I want is what I've been told is unrealistic and not possible and so on. So I want someone. That's the best answer I can give. I'm not going to attach, because obviously we're on the internet, so I don't want to attach my name to someone I don't really know much. And then if it doesn't work out, people are asking me about it and saying, "Oh, you see, you wanted that guy and it didn't work." It's not my job. Do you get it?
Yeah.
And people have told me it's not my job many years in a row. So that's my answer now. We need a 9. We needed a right back. I wouldn't have put Ben White in probably my top 10 right back list at that time, but here he is. Yeah, we needed a keeper. I probably wouldn't have put Ramsdale in top. There he came and there he went. And Raya came in, and I wouldn't have put him in my top 10 either, and so on. So it's not my job. We need a 9. We need an 8. 8 is Marino. Whoever the 9 is. The 9 term for me more means a gunman. So if the gunman comes in on the left, like if it was a Nico Williams, not saying that's going to happen or there's likelihood, I don't think it is, and it's not. I'm saying if it's a winger of that mold where it's exciting, goals are coming from that side, not just from him, but his creativity too, then that is cool. By 9, I mean someone in the forward line to boost us, like refresh, like just give us something different.
Yeah.
Are you attaching your name to any one of these guys? Like, do you know much about players or who else is there?
No, I don't know. Like, listen, we do this. We all type in the names on YouTube. Gyökeres looks exciting. There's a lot of numbers there, but I don't know. I remember Darwin Núñez looked exciting out of Portugal, and so I'm not sure about that one. But he does look good. Listen, I've said before, I would take Tony short term. I think you get 2 or 3 years out of him. You get him for 50 mil. The market's limited, man. I think Osimhen will end up at Chelsea, and listen, we said before Isak was the one, but it's not going to happen this year. But to be honest, I don't think we're going to buy a striker now. I just think Eddie probably needed to go first of all to create some space in terms of wages, and because, like I said, I don't see how Arteta can go to the board and say, I want a striker. They're going to say, well, Havertz, Jesus, and Nketiah. That wage and those transfer fees, one of them's got to go. So I'd be very surprised if we could get another striker.
Do you know where, like, if I was Mikel, what I'd turn around and say to them? I'd turn around and say, do you know what you lot done to this club? That you think I could turn around 3 years ago and just buy the striker that we need? We wasn't that club 3 years ago because of you.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Don't moan to me because I had to take steps to get to this where we're at now. Don't moan to me because Zinchenko and Jesus came in first. We challenged for a title when no one expected it. And all of a sudden, your expectations rose and your money rose with it. At the end of the day, the reason we couldn't buy the striker Arteta potentially wanted free, maybe it was Vlahovic. The reason might have been money. Or the reason might have been, which it probably was for any big name in Europe, is Arsenal are not that team. Because we wasn't that team 3 years ago. So that's what
man is saying. If he says that, bro, get the P45, he'll be out.
That's fine. But I actually think, I actually think Mikel, that's what I mean about one extreme or the other. Either he's going to win something or it's going to end in a madness. It's going to, because I don't think he'd risk his, because this is his first management stint. This could make or break, even though I'm a lot closer to saying he's going to make from here because people can laugh about him, people can dismiss him in terms of arguments and debates against other managers. But if he becomes available in the summer, a top club get him. Top club might even sack their manager to get him. Some of them. So it's gonna, I mean, the year left on the contract thing, and that whole maybe lack of investment, even if it is down to where you invested already. Well, you didn't invest for fucking 14 years. So how about you shut up about I've invested already and continue the ball rolling, bro? I'm this close to going back outside that stadium with Nketiah banners, bro. I'm this close.
Yo, man, I spoke to Josh, man. We're good, man.
Nah, bro. Listen, don't tell me you spoke to him, bro. Don't tell me you spoke to him, man.
Yeah, man.
Man, like Josh, he grew his beard out. What was he thinking? I'm glad he shaved
Yeah,
it
he's
off.
been moving like you, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was at the game and everything, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, it was, isn't it? People are saying he's here to tie up fucking transfers. We don't need. What are you here for? Just fax the thing, email the thing, WhatsApp the thing. Like it's not. You don't. People are just making things up. Like when Isak was here and his number plate in January.
Yeah. It's mad. You know. Let me know it.
Yeah, it's not. Aran says, big up, Aran. Hope you're good, my bro. Big up the OGs. First time catching a live in a while. Text. To be honest, first live since the Euros for me. Yeah, since the Euro. Well, I done a review after Turkey got knocked out. That was it. I think the club are slowing Mourinho deal down to excite fans during the last week. It seems a fairly easy deal. Disappointing so far. Yeah, that's what I insinuated early on to Curtis. It could be. These men are on games. We've seen it before.
Yeah.
Louis says, being frugal with money, so not to have another Pepe situation is okay, but not getting any striker is giving another year for other teams to catch us up. Yes, Louis, and
yeah,
I'm glad you put both sides of it there, because I often hear a lot about, we don't want to get it wrong, and I get that, but it's better you try and get it wrong than not try at all. And I think that goes for any walk of life. Like, so yeah, I'm glad you put it both ways there, because I'm sick to death of that whole people mentioning Pepe still to this day. They got it wrong. They fucked up. Fix up. The hell? Why am I going to make excuses? Fix up. MP says, big up Turkish and Curtis. Came here as a Curtis follower. It's always good to follow up real gunners. Come on, MP. I know Curtis has built a strong community over there. And he also goes, last season we didn't go for it and we started relying on other teams to help us. This needs to change.
Yeah.
I'll be fair again and say I didn't expect City to end the season the way they ended. They were just winning game after game. And that's more for me because they've done it against Liverpool so much. But I think we all kind of thought City ain't this team that went up against Liverpool all those years in a row. But they still won. They still won. Like just one slip up was all it was going to take. Again, it was one slip up because we slipped up. But I think I didn't expect us to do what we done, let alone do it one better by beating Aston Villa 2. Do you get what I'm saying? So we kind of did what I kind of expected to a certain extent, win the majority. But City didn't do what I expected, which was drop points in one bloody game. Klopp beat Man City once at the Etihad. Why are we moving like Etihad game decides titles? A draw is a good result. Losing to smaller teams is where we lost, or where you lose titles. Where last season, Fulham, West Ham, Aston Villa, and you're right. Etihad doesn't decide it, but because it's coming up in a few weeks in comparison to it coming up at the end of last season, because I still look at it as a good point at the end of last season. In obviously 2 points more, we win the league, but at the time, I'm not going to change my opinion about it because we didn't at the end. Time to have some chest with this team. Don't chicken out. It's nothing to do with chickening out. I mean, chess should be natural. Chess shouldn't be forced. And at this moment in time, they haven't backed up my belief at the end of last season that we're going to win the league this season. That's not my fault. I said it already before knowing what they're going to do. That was my chest there. They haven't exactly aided that chest, have they? But yeah. And Arteta, so we got Arteta ballers and Arteta out this time. So shout out, praying for success for Arsenal Football Club from one extreme to the next. But yeah, the game, we didn't even talk about the game yet. But from the transfer window to the game, I mean, rather than start with Saka, because we talk about Saka a hell of a lot, and we're gonna continue talking about him a hell of a lot. To be honest, we've done the same with Havertz too, but in a very different light. I think if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
if you give me a new striker and they start the season with 1 goal and 1 assist, I'm over the moon, and I think great things might be on the horizon. So if I look at Havertz as a new signing, as Wenger would say, because he was a midfielder last year and he's starting the season up top, a goal and assist, I'll take it, bro. I can't lie to you. I'll take it. But I hope people know now the standards. He set them. He set them. They've been set. So this, I'm not saying a goal and assist every game, but what I'm saying is our number 9. If we create the same number of chances we did the last 2 years, he should get 20. What Robbie predicted, he should get.
Yeah. Listen, Havertz is a crazy one because, I really want the guy to do well because, I felt on the tour he seemed a lot different this year. He seemed I felt like last year when we got him as kind of head down, nobody wants me, Chelsea threw me out, Arsenal don't want me here. Now I think he's got a lot more belief. And the thing is, I've always felt there was a talented footballer there. It was just like in this Arsenal team and the role he was playing, it just wasn't working for him. Up front seems to be working for him. So I'm actually quite confident that he will put up numbers this season. The thing for me is about, can he do it in the bigger games? It's what I said about last year. We played City 3 times, Liverpool twice, Bayern Munich twice, Porto twice. He didn't score in any of those 9 games. So for me, I'm looking at, okay, can you score in those crunch moments? That for me is what defines the best strikers. You can put up numbers. Are you going to do it in those big moments when 0-0 to Villa and you can't find the goal and he we had games like that last year. That's why we didn't win the league. So I still want a striker regardless of what Havertz is doing because you need competition. Man City had the best goal scorer on the planet and got Alvarez, who ended up being the leading 9 for Argentina at the World Cup. So I still want a striker, but if he can score 20 league goals and Saka has the season that we expect him to have, and then we need to sort of figure out that left-hand side. So if he's going to lead the line, he's got to do the business. But I love that goal. That goal was a proper striker's goal, by the way. The movement, the bravery. So yeah, it's just keep going. We need more.
Build on it. And to be honest, these 5 games, we talk about the difficult ones. He's got 3 coming up. He's got 4 coming up. If you include the Brighton at home one as well, which we kind of expect. A Villa away, physical defenders on the hand. Tottenham away, atmosphere, physical defense, physical everything against them. Man City, same thing. He's got 3 games where he's got the platform to build off how we started the season. Because listen, chalk and cheese to last season. How he started last season, what was it? 9 games in, given a penalty. Even he was shy about it. He was embarrassed himself. You could tell he didn't want it. Compare that to this season where, 45 minutes in, you've given your team the lead, and 90 minutes in, you've added an assist to it as well. So he started the season perfectly. But the 3 away games coming up, and because those away games are in September, come the end of September, we're going to look at what we do or don't do in the next 2 weeks of August. And a lot of us would have made up our minds on how happy we are about it. If Havertz goes and we get the 10 out of 12 points minimum in the next 4, Havertz is on 4 goals by the end of it, going into October. We're talking very different about what we didn't do in August in terms of striker. That's how that's how football is. You could want a player so badly, but then a player comes through and slots in, and then you forget all that you wanted a player in that position in the first place. That's part of competition. That's part of stepping up. And I think
and football's funny. Like it's if we'd signed Havertz now, and he wasn't Havertz, and he was up front, and he plays that first game and he scores that header, gets the assist, we're going, boy, we got a striker on our hands here. Do you know what I mean? We're like, we don't even know if Gyökeres is a better striker than Havertz in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? He might be. So that's the issue with bringing in.
Do you know what's in my head now?
Go on.
Do I need to learn off my mistakes? I think I do.
What are you about to say? Say it. Just say it, man.
When we had Giroud, it's kind of the same thing. We had Giroud. We didn't really. We
Use
did.
him
We
properly.
all wanted him as backup, but we didn't value him like that. And when it was time for a choice, and it wasn't really a choice because we had just bought Lacazette. But when Oba came in, who should be backup striker? The majority of us all said Lacazette.
Yeah.
But the reality is, Giroud
Giroud would have been a better backup
was
than Laka.
the better striker. Full stop.
Do you know what I remember? Because didn't we? If I remember, when we signed Aubameyang, Giroud went to Chelsea and Batshuayi went to Dortmund. So it was like I think we had to sell Giroud, didn't we, to
Yeah,
get Aubameyang in? But I hear you, because when
yeah.
I watched Giroud at Chelsea, I was thinking, this guy looks different. Like, because he had Willian and Hazard, very creative wingers, he just looked a far better player. At Arsenal, we had players like Alexis, Walcott. They were more goal-scoring wingers. So I hear what you're saying. And it's a good point someone just made in the comment, reminded me. It's like, this is what makes me think, what's changed? Why did we try and buy Sesko in June? Spoke to his agent. Apparently, he was willing to pay the release clause 50 million. So what's changed between June and August? It's not like Havertz, they finished the season already. So why did they want Sesko for 50 million? Yet you're telling me now the guy doesn't want a striker. So what changed in that 2-month period?
I don't believe it, bro. I don't believe we wanted Blahovic, and I don't believe we wanted Sesko.
This guy,
Bruv, there's no proof. If we wanted Vlahovic, yeah, now we're like what 2 years on now. When was that? January 2022. So we're 2.5 years on. If we wanted Vlahovic, if Mikel wanted Vlahovic, why haven't we even bought a profile since of Vlahovic since that? Why? He's even been available again since. But forget being available again. Why haven't we gone for that type of forward since? If people tell me he hasn't found that or we haven't found that, I'm gonna smash this laptop because 2.5 years. Because people are saying the same thing with Sesko. Oh, we
Yeah,
want Sesko, but because he said no and signed a new contract, that means we've turned our attention elsewhere. So you're
yeah.
telling me out of thousands of players in world football, Sesko and Vlahovic were the only ones at that particular time in life that would fit and work. I don't believe it. So I don't believe neither. Yeah, I don't believe neither. I'm sorry. We didn't want Vlahovic. We didn't.
Maybe Havertz has just become that guy, bro. What is he? 6'3", link up striker. You know what I mean? It was right in front of him all along.
That's the worry. Now he has to replace Eddie because that was right in front of him all along as well. But
Yeah,
because listen, when we had Jesus banging, I said, let's bring in a Tony type of striker. Tall, can link up, play well, can get you 15 to 20. Now we've got Havertz. It's the smaller striker I want. Someone that can be, can a bit quicker in behind, someone a bit more nifty on the ball.
yeah.
So now it's completely different. It's mad. That was a year and a bit ago that we wanted the taller target man. And that's why with Tony, bro, I'll take him. But I just think he adds to our options rather than me knowing we've got a striker that's gonna take
Different.
that position and we're not gonna look back from it. I just feel like
Yeah.
we'll struggle to move him on in 2 years as well or take a big hit on it because we're still gonna need a striker next summer if we sign Tony this summer. That's how I
Yeah,
feel.
well, Jesus probably go. Eddie would probably go. It's a tricky one. I get what you're saying. Tony's profile is he's back to goal link up in the year. Now you got Havertz. You want someone a bit more dynamic off the bench with like a lot of pace who can do something different. So yeah, Tony. I don't think Tony will happen now. But it's crazy to think that Havertz is now our best striker. That's the reality. He's going to score more goals than Jesus would if he played up front the same games.
I don't know, I can't say that for sure, bro.
I think he is, bro. Honestly, and the words I never thought I would be saying. Havertz is Arsenal's number one striker.
He is. No, he is. But I think recency bias does a lot for our belief that Jesus isn't at least as productive as him up top. Listen, Jesus' first season, 23 games started, 11 goals. That's not a bad return. It's not a great return. It's a decent return when you put in a knee injury in there as well, an ACL. 11 goals, 23 games. I mean, is it out of his realms that in 30 games he can get 15 goals, 4 more or 6 more? Like, I think they're pretty similar in output. It's just different forms of output. I think Havertz is more of a nuisance, whereas Jesus is better for us to watch.
And do you know what is for me? I tell you what, with Jesus for me, listen, with Havertz, the thing I really like about Havertz, every time I watch this guy play, gets a big chance. Nearly every game, I feel, oh, he could have scored that, or he does score that. I watch Jesus some games, I'm sure you do. I'm thinking, this guy's never going to score today. He's not even in the penalty area. I don't even know if he's had a shot. He's on the wing. He's doing that Lacazette during lockdown thing. For me, I think Jesus is a fantastic football player. Like, technically, you can only admire when you watch him. As a goal scorer, not for me. And like you said there, could he get another 6 or 7? Bro, I don't think you get 30 games out of it. He'll be injured.
That's the biggest problem, though. Yeah, that is the biggest issue. Because I think if he starts 30 games as your number 9, I think he gets 15 minimum. I'm not saying that's good enough. Or not minimum, but I think you get 15 out of him. Average. I'm not saying that's good enough, but I think Havertz, you start 30, I'm going to say 17, 18. Even though that's still not good enough. It should be 20 minimum for a striker at Arsenal. I think they're not too dissimilar in terms of it's just only the availability and how robust Havertz is week in, week out, being ready for the fight, which is a big credit to him. But people tend to, even in the comments I'm seeing that Turkish is doubting Kai. It's not. I'm picking up Jesus. It doesn't mean they're all Arsenal players. Like, just because I pick up Jesus doesn't. I'm not even picking him up. I'm just because I still think 15 ain't great. I'm just saying that both of them, I think, have the same risk factor in terms of if you start them for 30 games, are you going to get 20 goals out of them, or 35 games and so on?
Yeah. I mean, the thing, Jesus, he hasn't even scored 15 in a season, has he?
City done it once, I believe.
14, highest.
Or was it 14?
14 in 34. But again, it's hard, isn't it? Because a lot of them weren't starts. He was there when Aguero was there. And, you know, but I think the thing what I've realized as an Arsenal fan is kind of deal with reality rather than what you hope. So in my head, I'm kind of switched off from buying a striker now. I've just said to myself, look, Havertz going to be the striker. He's got a goal and assist on opening day. Just keep creating for him, keep scoring, and we just what I'm kind of looking at for me is I think for Arsenal to win the league, if Havertz is the striker, that whole front three have to be contributing. I think at the moment, the left-hand side is almost a bigger issue than Havertz because I'm looking at SAKA going, you're doing your job this year. I know Saka's bagging goals.
Yeah, you're right.
Havertz's going to score goals. Whether it's enough goals, whether he does it in the bigger games, we'll find out. That left-hand side, for me, is a bit of an issue because Martinelli, I feel like the fan base have turned on him a little bit and they're frustrated with him at the moment. And, you know, I think Arteta's trying to go with Martinelli because he's in his early 20s. You feel like his ceiling might be higher than Trossard, so he's going with a younger. But then is Trossard actually better than Martinelli? So you've got to have a left-hand side that's scoring goals to help the other two.
You're bang on, bro. Like, this is why we got a show, because the other day, I don't know what show I said it on, but I said the same. Martinelli's my guy, but if I had to pick a position that we need to upgrade in, if I take out bias, it's the left-hand side. You know, that's the reality. That's why, as much as I've been banging on about a striker, I've always caveated it with, if we get someone on the left-hand side, you know, I'm happy with that as well. Martinelli's the one in 2024, this calendar year. Havertz has done his thing. Saka's been doing his thing. Martinelli's the one that fell off. And really, I think, going back to the conversation about Jesus and Havertz, I think both of them are there for the wingers to enjoy more. So I think Martinelli really needs to be getting more goals than Havertz. I think Martinelli and Saka should be getting more goals than Havertz in the ideal system for Mikel, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but I think he's had to change it up a little bit. and rethink and rejig, because Martinelli does do a lot of defensive work. That side's had a lot of changes. But if come 1st of September, Martinelli should have Calafiori or Timber left back,
Yeah.
Marino at 8, and he'll be the left. So he'll have a consistent left. So hopefully, come October, November, when he gets that consistency and that flow with them that you had with Zinni and Xhaka a couple of years ago, that's when we can say, all right, you've got the pieces in place now. Is it working for Martinelli, or does that one need to be upgraded on as well? Because right now he does need to do better. But I've got faith he will. I
Yeah.
think. What's his target this season? Is it 10 goals or is it 12? Like, am I being too lenient?
I think because, I mean, Martinelli got 15, didn't he, the year before last? But Trossard turned up, January of that season. So he's going to get rotated a lot more now. I think he's got to probably contribute 20 goals to Arsenal, goals and assists, or close to 20 goals. So if he got 12 goals, I think he's got to get 8 assists as well. So, yeah, 20 goals and assists from Martinelli for me.
That's fair, yeah. That's fair.
But,
To
do you know
20
what?
GA, however he
20
does it.
GA,
20,
yeah.
yeah.
Listen, I said it on my show today. I'm capping a little bit for Martinelli, but I think as a fan base, we've got to have a bit of patience with him, because as a fan base, we've stood by players that have done a lot worse than him for a lot longer. 2 seasons ago is what he was outstanding that year. Got in the Brazil squad, 15 goals. Last season, he had 2 injuries, man. He pulled his hamstring. You look back over the years when quick players mash up that hamstring, it affects them a lot. And then he had that cut at Sheffield United, which Arteta made out like, I'll be back in a week, and he was out for about 4 weeks. So I reckon that was a worse injury than they made out as well. So for me, I think it's difficult because Trossard is such a clutch technical player, but he lacks that yard of speed. So there's certain games where coming off that left-hand side, he can't get away from the fullback. I think Trossard's better when he's in the penalty area.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Trossard started games and done well, but I look at Trossard as the joker in the pack, like the 12th man. You don't want to use your joker start. You want to save it and use it when you think you need it most. And I think when you have a good 12th, good 13th, good 14th man, consistent quality off the bench, whether they're coming off the bench or whether they're starting games in between as well. I think Trossard's perfect at that. So for me, if it's not Martinelli, for example, let's say this season, it's similar to the striker thing with Havertz. And if he doesn't get 20 and we don't win the league, I think if Martinelli doesn't do what he should be doing this season, Trossard steps in and we don't win the league, I'm not looking at it as, Trossard, like, he's at fault, or Martinelli. Really, we should have brought in a player on that left-hand side if it wasn't a striker.
Yeah.
Really, something different, because Trossard isn't one thing Martinelli brings that the rest don't, or more of it, is pace. He can peel off, but the amount of defensive work he has to do, he gets very little chance to do that. But he does have that that tool. Trossard doesn't have that. Trossard's very different, cute player, technical, on the ball. Martinelli more head down, machine type. So we needed to add a bit of pacing on that left hand side if we wasn't to bring in the striker. We've done neither, and everything points back to that, because teams know now Trossard's a quality 12th man. He's been doing it for he was doing it at Brighton at times as well.
Yeah, hat trick against Liverpool. Do you think we could get in a situation where we kind of, rather than having a first choice, we rotate them? Because I actually think Villa away this weekend will suit Martinelli, because Villa will come on to us and we can maybe hit them in transition, where I feel like Wolves at home, 10-11 behind the ball, I might have actually suited Trossard more than Martinelli.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's on the rotation thing. I think that's something we done last season, though. No, even though it was more Trossard starting towards the end, I think that's kind of something we've done. I think, again, I'll look back at the summer and say why. Like someone mentioned Coleman in the comments. If Coleman's available for loan, or
I'd take him
20, 25 mil or whatever, you take that. You take that deal. What is he, 29, 28, 29?
I'd definitely take him on loan.
Not 30, I don't think. But, bro, you take that. That's something that we ain't really got.
28.
Like I said, with Martinelli, huh? 28.
28, just turned 28.
100%. If that's,
Yeah.
I don't know how likely or that is an option, but
He
100%.
started on. I think he started on the weekend, so I don't know.
Yeah, then it's nonsense. I don't know why his name keeps on coming up.
Yeah,
Even though
yeah,
players used to start. Remember when Nasby started
Yeah.
for us and signed for City the week after?
yeah.
He started against Liverpool for us, isn't it? Was it Liverpool?
Yeah, was it
It was a big
Liverpool?
game. It was
Yeah.
a big game, and was it the
Fab,
one?
Fab pulled out.
Yeah,
Fab was talking about injury and that.
yeah.
Yeah.
We got Aura as well in the chat. New member, come on, my bro. Hope you're good. MP says Tony's no better than Solanke, yet costs. I think Solanke is better.
Do you?
Mm.
I think Tony's better, but Solanke, I think it's a decent signing for them. Look.
Apples and oranges. I think it's just it's tight. I mean, you can make arguments for both. I just think 19 at Bournemouth. What does he take penalties? No,
I don't even know if he does. No, I'm not
I
sure.
don't think he does.
He had a very, very good season last year. He's an Arsenal fan as well, isn't he? But
Is he as well?
yeah.
AJ's asking, big up OGs, but he says, if we sack Arteta, who do you take? To be honest, I don't want to think about that because the manager market is so dire. Like, it's not even worth. Yeah, it's not even worth thinking about unless necessity. But yeah, I can't think of one. I can't think of one standout. And if you look around at the ops trying to find managers in the last 2-3 years, I think they can't think of one either. So that's why they're in the position they're in. So yeah. Not one to think about right now. AJ, big up though. Reese says if we get a forward, it's gonna be a wide one. I don't mind. Curtis don't mind. Same thing.
Yeah.
Taylor says I'd love to see Jesus Havertz SAKA for a game. Think some of Jesus' best moments for us, a lot are coming in from the left. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a good shout.
I mean, what's Jesus' best game last season? Probably off the bench against Bayern or Sevilla. Actually, no, Sevilla.
Sevilla started, didn't it? I thought even Man City at home he played well against Vardy. I think we played him on. We played him on the wing that game. Yeah, good game.
He's a quality baller, man. Quality baller.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know what he lacks to be that number 9. MP also says, just an opinion. Do we really need a striker with so many options we have? I'd rather get another winger so we can rotate the attack and wings. I want a Dingra. What do you guys think? Don't mention Sterling.
Well, I had Sterling all over the thumbnail today.
You man are chatting shit. No. You man are chatting shit.
Raheem on loan, bro. You know what I mean?
I'm not talking about that, bro. I'm not talking about that, bro. You man in the comments are talking shit. We didn't.
But bro, you could see it happening.
Do you see what I'm seeing?
Raheem,
I don't think you see what I'm seeing, bro.
What is there breaking news or something?
We rejected the 25 million bid for Eddie. We rejected. Let me check this because too many people in the chat.
No, it's real. Ornstein's dropped the bomb. Oh no! These man at 25 million pounds, you know. Oh God. Oh no. It's true. It's there, bro. Share the screen. Ornstein's dropped the bomb.
Now we want 30, 35 mil.
Oh, they better hope they come back. I can't believe it. They just don't learn, do they?
Bro, we can't play this with Forest, bro, because Forest will just turn around and be like, yo, we got Chris Wood and our knee. We don't even need him like that.
These man don't learn. I just don't understand, bro. They offered more than Marseille. Marseille offered £23 million, 27 million euros. Forest, 25 million.
Forest got peas, though, innit?
They got peas. I mean, yeah. I know.
He's moving to your ends.
Yo, I got links for Eddie and Knots. You know, I can make that transition easy for him. You know what I mean? But bro, we want 30 to 35 million. Ornstein loves saying this Palace retain an interest. Like, stop with the Palace talk, man.
Ornstein's like Robbie sometimes, but
he is, man. I'm telling you.
4 years they've been retaining interest, bro. Who you been talking to?
Like, You just would have thought, yeah, after Marseille, you've got it wrong. But luckily, Forest have turned up and said, yo, we're going to
Yeah.
rescue you still. You know what I mean? And we're still... These man don't learn. I'm convinced they don't want Eddie to leave, you know.
Now, we must have a plan, bro. We
Ah,
must have a plan. We must.
I
We
don't know
must.
if there is. I think the plan is that they keep him. Forest better please come back with 30 mil. Because if this guy stays, honestly,
It even says 25. Including add-ons. Okay,
so it's
including.
probably 20 plus 5 in add-ons. But I'm taking that, bro. What are we waiting for? I can't. When you reacted like that, I was like, no, what's he just seen? Oh, no.
Nah,
Ornstein, this
because
window's making my head hot, bro. Like, I swear down.
bro.
Do you know
Ah,
what? Yeah, I'm going to be real. Because you know the thing that worries me with this year is that if you look earlier when their bid was rejected for that Jimenez, Feyenoord said they want 30 million for him. So then Forest are going to get to a situation, they're going to go Jimenez or Eddie for 30 million. So you're now forcing them to make a decision when you could have just took 25 and got the deal done. So, and this is what they did to Marseille and it didn't work. They bought someone else. So this is, and that Jimenez is going to be on less than 100 grand at Feyenoord. So that is risky from Edu. Is that Edu? Is that the Kroenkes? I don't get it. Bro, I've just seen Oliver, what's his name? Skip.
yep.
25 million to Leicester.
I'm not gonna lose it yet.
No. I told you, man. Enjoy your summer. Wait until that window closes. We'll have a very different OG show. But relax, man. You've been in LA, cinema in the house. Life's good, bro. Don't worry. You're wearing merch. Look, that's the 14 just behind you as well. You know what I mean? You went from Thierry. We just gotta have some silence, man, and just gather our thoughts, people, man. You know
No,
what I mean?
I'm deep in. I'm trying to work. I like to put myself in
Yeah,
other people's shoes and work out, like,
definitely.
what you thinking, what are you thinking, and what you've. And I'm stuck because I don't know what we're thinking.
Do you know what it is? I'll be honest with you, right? Forest have got money. I'll be honest. Forest have got dough. They can pay 30 quite easily for Eddie, but it's how highly they rate him. And like I said, they bid for Jimenez before, so you're forcing them to make a choice at 30 million where you could have took 25 and just been done with it. So if they turn around and say, well, Jimenez just scored 23 goals in the Dutch league and he's on probably 30, 40 grand a week, that is risky, man. Risky business. Jimenez. Let
Bro,
me see.
this is a very big risk they've taken. I'm telling you, it's a
Bro,
very
Jimenez on 33 grand a week.
33 grand.
33 grand.
Yeah.
Eddie's on 100, fam. You know what I mean? I can't believe it. They just don't learn. I didn't think we'd get another bid for him. I said, no, Marseille, that was your one-time offer.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe Forest won him. Like, they got a 1 year in Chris Wood. They can get Jimenez for 30. Maybe they want a different profile. They're both kind of big target men. Yeah, English quota, like man is saying in the comments. I just
English
don't.
quota for who? For us? Or
For them, they might need it. English quota. I'm sorry. I would have, again, I said with Marseille, I would have bit their hand off. He'd be in knots right now if that was me.
1st of September. That's when I'm gonna analyze this window and the way it turns out. 1st of September, because I don't. After all of these years of good work, I refuse to believe that they will let this undo or potentially undo all of those years, because we can't end another season. We cannot end another season. Second, third, no trophy, and the reason is because we don't have a gunman, or we don't have a striker. We cannot end another season like that. So 1st of September, if Eddie Nketiah 14 is still here, just win the league. 1st of September, if it's Gyökeres or if it's whoever, then just win the league. Either way, the demand doesn't change. So let me just stay calm. 25 mil. It sounds very nice. We should have done it. I just hope that Forest are in dire need, and which I don't think they are. I mean, Awani just came back from injury. Wood is just, I mean, I don't know what Forest are thinking as well. They might watch their face and realize, bro, what the hell are we doing?
Oh, Forest have got money, man. I mean, Ornstein, I'm reading his article. He's saying Forest have now made Nketiah their top target. So he's kind of implying, have they walked away from Jimenez? I don't know. Chris Wood scored on Saturday as well.
Who said they've made him the top target?
Ornstein, in the full article on The Athletic, said Nottingham Forest have now made Eddie Nketiah their top target. It's believed 30 million would be enough to get the deal done. Yeah, boy. The only thing that makes me wonder is, like, I don't know, Eddie, the last friendly was because of Marseille. He didn't come on at the weekend. It's got to be going. I feel like Forest might... I'm trying to look at this from a calm point of view. I'm enjoying my summer. I don't want to mash things up. I feel like Arsenal must believe that Forest are going to offer that 30 million. Like, Forest might have come to the table and said, look, man, we want him. Like, they've definitely got the money as well.
Yeah,
they can pay him 100 grand a week as well. Like, Forest have got Doug. Their owner's got a lot of money. Got Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi. Them man are on good wages. But, yeah.
Are they stupid enough to do that is the question that really we have to be asking.
Yeah.
Because the next thing is probably wages, and they probably won't want to spend that and say, yeah, you're going to need to lower the demands a little bit.
I remember they got done last year for breaking the financial rules. So,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? They got to tread carefully.
Oh yeah.
Look, yo, I'm seeing here. I don't know if this is what. It says Hudson-Odoi is on 120.
Yeah, at Chelsea. I mean, not at Chelsea.
Where was Forest. At Forest.
Yeah, he was on 120 at Chelsea. So
it says 120. So they can afford it, but again, you're making him one of your top earners. Do they?
And listen, as shit as Hudson-Odoi is, but there was an era where Chelsea thought he was going to be the next up, and Bayern Munich wanted him. You know,
oh yeah, he was one of Forest's best players last year. It was good for them.
Yeah,
but it's a big drop.
Wanted Eddie. It's not levels. So
bro, OGs has been thrown into. You know what I mean? I don't even know what we were discussing. Man just started backing off from the screen, bro. I thought you was going to headbutt that Henry picture.
Bro, do you know what's mad? I got this, yeah?
Come on.
I got this, obviously, as part of the collection, yeah? Obviously.
Oh, you got that, yeah? It's nice, though, isn't it?
But I'm going to tell my son I got the 14 on it because of Henry. Do you get it?
Yeah, you have to. No, you're an Eddie fan.
Nah, I can't.
No, you got Eddie. You got 14 on. That's Eddie's shirt.
No, this is heritage. This is
you've got to tell it. You got to tell him it was Thierry.
I am 100%. I'm gonna.
That's all he can believe. Yeah, Thierry.
Where's my home shirt from last season? I put Henry at the back of my home shirt last season as well. I don't give a fuck. I'm waiting for him to go so I can just say, like, it's over. I can tell my son this shirt's on read.
Because you know why it works, yeah? Because you know back in the day,
yeah,
you know the player, you didn't even have the names on, innit? So you can say, oh, this is an old shirt, man, 14, no name on it. Yo.
Bro, do you think if this said Nketiah on it, I'm gonna buy it? Do you think, bro? There's no chance. There's no chance.
Get it in the collection, man. You know what I mean? That collection's strong, by the way. We need a show where you just start pulling shirts out. I can't lie.
Yeah, we'll do
that. Yo, oh my, they've rejected another bit. If this guy doesn't go, like I said, I'm staying calm. It's hot outside. We had a good summer. I'm going to put my trust, they're going to come back with 30 mil. If this guy is an Arsenal player on the 1st of September, it's
Cool.
going to be, it's one of them. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, you turn down 2 bids for him, 25 mil and 23 mil.
Not even 1st of September, is it? It's whatever you said. It's next
Friday.
Next
Friday, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, so there we are.
Boy,
let me get in the super chats before we close the show. George says, ideal signing after Marino. You say ideal, so I'm going to say anyone you want, Curtis. In the last 2 weeks, who would it be?
Oh, I mean, ideal. Are we trying to be realistic though? Like that's the thing. Who could we get now? I don't even know who we could get.
Mbappe's not on the market no more, for fuck's sake.
We signed his brother, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, bro. Like I've kind of just given up on it. I'm like, just bring someone.
Yeah,
bring some pace.
It's ideal. It's not realistic. It's ideal, whatever.
But you know what? You made a good point last week on talking transfers. It was like, Isak, all right, no disrespect. They're a big club. Isak plays for Newcastle. They're not even in Europe this season. They haven't won a trophy I don't even know if they won a trophy in our lifetime. I don't even know if they have.
I don't think so. No.
We should have been putting pressure on them this summer. Do you know, like you said, bid rejected, see how he acts after the bids, because you've seen it before. An offer comes in, next minute the player's acting wild, not turning up for training, and like we just kind of went, we can't afford him. It's like, well, why can't you afford him? Why could you afford Rice last year, but you can't afford Isak this year? So I would love to know what's going off with the finances.
For me, it's like, what if City or Real Madrid wanted Isak? Do you think they get Isak this summer? Of course they do. When we was going toe to toe with United, I could say the same thing. If United wanted that player, do you think they would go and get him? Or when we look at Chelsea and their, how they took over in terms of the team winning trophies in London, if they wanted a player, they'd go get him. Arsenal have never, really been in that era where, in terms of big players, if we wanted them, we go get them. And after last summer and the last 2 title challenges and the belief that, finally those words from Gazidis that we're going to compete with Bayern and the top teams in Europe, maybe round the corner, I thought we might actually go and do something big, actually go and bully someone for once, but, history, class, tradition, all of that. I don't, for me, it's time to flex. So Isak, Newcastle, we can win a league with you, Isak, number 14, legendary. If we win a league with you as the number 14, and it's our first league since the number 14, do you know what happens to you, brother? Do you know what happens to you? You're in a different stratosphere now, because we're craving a league title, and
that he could have been the hero.
Yeah.
He would push for the move if we made an offer. I'm convinced.
Yeah. 100%. Definitely watching us in Sweden or wherever he grew up. Brio says, must have been watching Ljungberg. How old is he? And we aren't getting a striker at this rate. We tend to agree. Edu acts like Eddie has 10 clubs fighting for him. Well, a few people act like that, so I'm waiting for them to step out the woodwork. Forest in trouble, and Nketiah's in the room. Badger's a cannon, but no gunman. And Nketiah the room stuff, made me absolutely, and it's just in general, some of the things our fans do is sickening, man. Jordan says a pacey winger on the right, a couple subs, and our entire system is switched up. In my humble opinion, Havertz, Jesus in the middle fits Arteta. Calm.
Yeah.
We're going to find out, because that's what it seems to be this season. Big up Curtis and Turkish. Is it wise to accept the first bid? Also, different market, different prizes. I mean, Siddiq, this is where some of the reason I say 1st of September is because if you're rejecting the bid, we're not in a rush for this money that we supposedly need so much in order to reinvest, right? But if that is correct and we need the money to reinvest, then take it, because the value is already bang on, if not over, in my opinion. And if the necessity to sell before you buy is that rife, then get it done. But if it's not, and you're talking to whoever you need to be talking in the forward line in the background, and you're juggling that with this, and one could happen before the other, and the other without one affecting the other, then fine, reject the first bid, test the waters, but just don't come 1st of September and give me Eddie third choice and nothing else. Just don't let that happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Last couple here, Curtis. Hybrid Ultra says, might be unpopular, but I agree with the club's position on Eddie's value. Our perception from a selling aspect has been ruined for 2 decades. We can't fold on our valuation. We will get the price we want. Hopefully. And I mean, I don't disagree with the selling being an issue well before Edu, but with Edu as well, and with the club in general. But also, valuation and overvaluation and undervaluation is a thing. Well, not really doesn't tend to happen, but it does when players come in from Europe, actually, and you compare them to the ones in England and the homegrown rule and all that. But yeah, I mean, 20-25 mil for Eddie is fair value, in my opinion.
With the wage as well.
Yeah, you've got to consider that. Nice one to end it on, Curtis. When 2 kings come together, blessed. Come on.
Big up.
From 2024.
Come on, man. I just want to say, right, Forest in the last year, they took Nuno Tavares on loan. They dropped him after about 10 games. They realized what he was real quick. They then signed Matt Turner as first choice. He ended up on the bench, couldn't get a kick. And now they're coming back for Eddie at possibly 30 million. I mean, listen, my home city, man, geez, it ain't looking good for them. It ain't easy, but we need it still. We need this deal to get over the line. If Edu gets 30 million, I hold my hands up and say, yo, do you know what I mean? Respect. And I'm seeing more now out of that article, and Ornstein saying they're expected to come back, but
why always he said he'd take a swap deal with Chris Wood.
Yo, target man,
Would you take anyone? Gibbs White?
He's not bad, I think Gibbs White's a good player. Yeah, I'd probably he wouldn't be my top target, but yeah, if they turn around and go, you know what, we ain't got the money, we'll give you Gibbs White and a swap, I'd say I'd take that, but it's not going to happen. He's their player of the season, I think.
Who would you prefer? Well, Gibbs White's a bit different, but Gibbs White or Vieira to come on, I'd probably prefer
Gibbs White, bro. I'd rather you came on than Vieira, bro. Let me tell you.
Show some respect.
Bro, I remember that goal you scored in LA, man.
Against Dennis Irwin. I'm going to tell him.
Against Irwin and that. You know what I mean? I ain't seen Vieira move like that.
Cheeky finish inside the box. Why not?
You know what I mean? It's all mad.
My bro. Listen, people, go subscribe to Curtis. His channel link is in the description. We're both on the road to 100k. I think he's just shy of 80, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I just hit it, and you're just before 90. So people,
come on,
you know what I mean?
Go up, subscribe, people. Show some love to the channels. Curtis's channel there. We'll be here once a week, every week. So make sure you're subscribed. I know a long time coming, people. I promised you things on this channel, but this is not going to be the only show this week. Later on this week, me, Babs, and Sharai, the Arsenal Echo. And we'll also be launching the show with me and KG this week, just working on a title now. As well as that, the one-to-ones will be back as well, the solo live. So make sure you subscribe, put a notification bell on. Love for the love. Go show Curtis some love in the description. That's his channel. Peace. We'll be back real soon. We're out.